Okay. Of course, you can activate your cameras if you like. Okay. Please ask the other students, those who cannot join ENT, that the link, the same link of today's course, is posted there, just to facilitate things for them to join us. Okay. Teacher didn't turn up the screen yet. You wait. Okay. So is it clear? You can see me. You can hear me. The link, Laufir, I can't find the link. Here I'm talking about the link. Okay. The link of today's live meeting in ENT is posted already in Google Classroom. That is, you try to click on it. If you have a problem to get directly to ENT, click on it, and I think you will be directed to our course. Okay. So, yes, of course, you can activate your cameras so that I can't feel alone, like I'm talking just to myself. Okay. Okay. I hope that you're doing well. Here, our course is Grammar 2 for Group 2. Okay. So my group is Group 2, which means that only Group 2 is allowed to get in ENT and follow the course. Okay. Then here, Grammar 2 is not like Grammar 1. This is just an introductory course, but we'll start, of course, the course on the passive voice. So before starting, let me give you an idea about the course content. Okay, what we shall be doing in here. So the first thing is that Grammar 2 is not like Grammar 1, because in Grammar 1, you focused more on tenses, and you focused on conditionals and all types of conditionals. So Grammar 2 is for the development of Grammar 1, but you will focus on other items or issues that you already knew before. Okay, you're familiar with the courses of Grammar 2. Okay, so in here, the main courses that we shall cover are. We'll start with the passive voice that you already knew before. You're familiar with it. And then we have, after the passive voice, we have reported speech, then modals, then infinitives and infinitive and gerunds, and then adverbs, then after adverbs we have, I think, we have prepositions, quantifiers, and articles. That is, we have 8 main chapters in this course, okay, dealing with different aspects of grammar. Yes, Shainan, teacher, are you going to share your screen with us? Yes, of course I will do. And for Grammar 2, or grammar, I believe, in grammar, I believe that to understand it, you should practice more. You should do the exercises. Grammar normally is not theoretical. Okay, I'm not here in order to explain what is on the handout, because you can, you have to download the handouts or the files. You have to read them, and then in these lives in here, live meetings, we're going to follow this method. I'm going to share with you my screen, and we're going to do the exercises directly. Okay, based on the fact that you have already read the files, okay, and then we'll try to practice to do exercises. And for me, my method in here is to do the exercises, and it is through the exercises that we explain and that we discuss the different items of the course. Okay, that's better because it's more practical. Because even if I say for example, or I talk about the theoretical aspects and I say, for example, okay, the passive voice, you do that, you do this, you do this. Okay, so if you don't practice this, you won't understand it. So that's why I will start first with the exercises, based on the fact that you should read the files before following the live meetings, because I will be more practical. I won't waste time in just explaining, okay, the passive voice in this and this, but doesn't mean that I won't explain. I will focus on the exercises and on the main sentences, main things that are difficult, that is the most difficult things and challenging things, because you know the passive, but in here I will focus on some sentences which are difficult to be changed to the passive voice. Okay, so I'll be more practical by following this method. Okay, so of course, so this is it. If you have any question about the course, okay, I don't know if you have any question, you're welcome before starting the passive voice. Okay, please, you need to read the handouts or the files that I send each week. Okay, for example, you read them, then we practice the exercises all together, and then I will explain, okay, the exceptions and the difficult cases of the passive, and of course show you the rule and how to apply it. Okay, so this is more practical. Okay, so do you have any question? Yes, another point is that I see in here that we have just 46 students. This is not sufficient, because I think that the situation would last. So I advise you to be more serious and to attend the live meetings. Of course, someone who attends the live meetings is more privileged than another one who sees just the recorded sessions. Okay. Yes, do you have any questions? If no, I can start. For the representative, if you all agree about on Soufiane Karada, I think. So if you all agree, so if you all agree, okay, just tell me, okay, in Google Class. No problem, not to waste time. Okay, yes. So no question?
This one, should we send you our homework like we did last semester?
Sorry?
Do we have to send you our homework like we did last semester?
Sorry, do you have to, what's the question?
Do we have to send you our homework in ENT?
Of course. Now, for example, in ENT, I gave you the homework or the exercises. Okay, I already gave you the exercises there, and you have the course. So, of course, after finishing, we won't do all the sentences in the exercises, but after finishing the course, so you need to do the exercise and send it to me. Okay, in ENT. Not Google Classroom, okay? To facilitate things for me in your evaluation online. Okay.
Understood.
Okay. So, okay, if we...
What is the last time we can send it to you, teacher?
I think that I have... I think that all the information related to the exercise is there on ENT, okay, in ENT. That is, you find the exercise and you find even the deadline there, okay? Okay, you have it there. Just have an idea and check it, and you'll find the limited time and the deadline. Okay, so anyway, today today we start just talking about the passive in general. Okay, what's the major rule, and we do the exercise. By the way, I will give you another exercise, not this one, because this one that I will share with you is already there in ENT. You have to do it also, to redo it, because we started, and you have to do another one that I will also send you. Okay. So this is the file that I sent you before. Okay, this is on the passive voice, lesson 1. Okay, so here you see that you have different, I'm giving you just a general idea about it. So here we have different sentences, you see, different sentences, and we focus here on the form of the passive. Okay, of a passive sentence. There is a difference between passive and active, you see. So here we have special patterns, so you need just to read, and this is just a summary of practical English grammar. This is a book that you need to have, you need to buy, a practical English grammar. It's a book which is very important in grammar, and you have this book has also 2 other exercises books. That is, you have a book on the courses, and you have 2 books of exercises with the key. A practical English grammar, okay, Martinet. Okay, so here I'm just summarizing here the main points concerning the passive from practical English grammar. Okay, and here we'll move to the exercise. So let me just, before that, let me activate the recording. Okay, if we start our course on passive voice, so we'll try to start with the exercise. Can you all see the exercise here? So the first point to know concerning the passive voice is that there is a difference between a passive sentence and an active sentence. What's the difference between active and passive in terms of meaning? You need to understand the meaning of active sentences and passive sentences, and why do we use the passive? Why do we use it in terms of function? Okay, so you need to know the structure of a passive sentence, and you need to know why do we use the passive, for example, in English. Okay, that is, we need to see the matter from its function. Yes, what's the difference between an active sentence and a passive sentence? Yes. 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 Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, teacher.
So what's the difference between between an active sentence and a passive sentence? Yes, you don't know? Okay, what does it mean, active sentence?
Teacher, when you ask somebody directly.
Ask somebody directly. For example, if I say John writes a letter. John writes a letter. So here, this is an active sentence. Why do we say that it is an active sentence? Because there is an action. There is an action in it. Yes, because there is an action in it, like the act or the action of writing, or the act of writing the letter. So John writes the letter. Here we have an active sentence because there is an action in it. Okay, and this action is not passive. That is, the act is active in itself. Okay, it shows you the action. And in an active sentence, in an active sentence, the verb is there. We know the agent or the doer of the action. John writes the letter. So here John is the doer of the action. We know who is the doer of the action. The act of writing is active in there. There is an action happening. And then we have an object, which is the letter. Okay, the letter. Please deactivate your microphones. Yeah,
sorry, teacher, sorry.
Okay, just deactivate it. Thank you. So I said that an active sentence is when I say when the action is clear and there is an action in a sentence. And an active sentence shows the doer of the action. That is, you know, who has done the action. Like John writes, we know that John is the doer or the agent. Okay. But in passive sentences, we say, for example, John writes the letter. What's the passive of the sentence? We have the letter is written by John. So in here, when we change a sentence from the active to the passive, there is a total change of the structure of the sentence, in the sense that we no more have the focus on the doer of the action. That is, the doer of the action in passive voice is optional. We don't focus on who did the action. Okay, like when I say the letter is written by, for example, John in here. I can say the letter is written. That's it, without mentioning the doer. Which means that in here, while formulating a passive structure, I don't focus on the doer, because the doer is not mentioned in most of the time. The doer of the action is not mentioned. Okay, why do we use the passive in general in our speech? When, for example, I don't want to mention the doer or the agent, so I can use the passive. Okay, then I can use it in order to avoid, sometimes to avoid disagreeable events. Okay, like for example, I have broken a cup or a glass and so on. I don't want to mention that I was the doer of the action, so I can escape and not mentioning, okay, that I did it. So I can say it was broken. Okay, I won't say it was broken by me. So sometimes in our speech, we use the passive voice in order to avoid mentioning the doer of the action. Okay, and sometimes we use the passive in formal situations. Okay, that is in which you don't know the doer or the one who is asking me to do something. That is the agent of the action. Okay. Sometimes, yes, sir. Sometimes we don't mention the doer, or sometimes we use the passive when the doer of the action is clear, that is known. When I say, for example, the school is cleaned, so we know that someone may have cleaned the school. So in here, when the doer of the action is already known, sometimes you don't mention it and you use just the passive. And I said the other use is in sentences in which you are you are not interested in the action in itself. Okay, that is in here. Sometimes when we use the passive, we don't want to focus on the doer. We're focusing more on the action. Okay. So this is the difference between active and passive, and this is why we use the passive in our speech, in our daily life. Okay, just what is important. Yes, please. Yes.
Sister, I have a question. You
Yes.
said that the action is clear on the active voice, but the passive, is it the same thing?
I can't get what you mean.
You said that in active voice the action is clear, but
Yes.
in passive voice, is it the same thing?
Normally, like when I say he plays or he beats the dog, he beats the dog. Okay, here the action, there is a difference between an act and an action. Okay, so here there is an action that you feel it, but when I say the dog is beaten or is bitten by the man, for example, here the verb is in the passive form, and of course it doesn't sound heavy. It's not the same weight. Okay, but still we have an
Yes.
action. But what is more important in the passive is that the doer of the action is not mentioned all the time. Okay, this is what is more important. Why do we use it in our daily life? For example, sometimes we try to avoid disagreeable events, as I said, or sometimes you know already the doer, and it is shared. That is, you know it. And when you talk to someone else, there is a shared knowledge. That is, you know who did this. So no use to state who is the doer. And then when I don't mention the doer, I'm more interested in the passive. I'm more interested in the action. Okay, what I want you to know, okay, is the action that was done. That's all. I don't want you to know maybe the doer. So that's why when we use the passive, okay, we are more interested in the action rather than the doer of this action. For example, a new house was built, okay, near our house. A new house was built near our house. For example, if I tell you that, what I want to convey is that a new house was built near our house. That is, I want you to know the action, and I'm not interested in the doer. What is important here? I'm interested in the action more than the doer of this action. Okay, so like you focus more on in the passive, you focus more on the action or the verb rather than the doer. While in the active sentence, the doer is mentioned or the agent is mentioned as well as the action, like they are equal. Okay, you give importance to the doer, the agent, the verb or the action, etc. But in the passive, more interest is in the action. That's why we keep this by phrase in the end of the sentence. Okay. This is in general about the passive voice and the difference between the active and the passive sentences. Another point that you should know before starting the exercise is the rule, okay, the general rule of the passive voice. What's the general rule? Of course, there is a rule governing the passive voice that you should know and you should apply once you want to sentence from active to passive. You should, of course, apply the rule. What's the general rule of the passive? What's the general rule? Because normally in the active, we have a subject, we have a verb, and we have an object, for example. Of course, the passive sentence cannot be constructed unless we have a transitive verb. That is, we have a verb that has an object. We need to have an object in order to facilitate things for us. Okay? You see? So in here, you should apply the rule. What's the general rule? The general rule is that in the active, we have the subject, the verb, and the object. John writes a letter. Okay? But if I want to change this sentence, the first process or the first step to do is that you change the position of the object, that is the letter, and you put it at first, and then you use to be which is to be, I am, am, are, is, etc. You use to be in the same tense of the verb. Like, for example, John writes the letter. I would take first the letter would be the subject, and then I would use to be, is, and I conjugate to be in the same tense of the verb. When I say John writes, okay, John writes the letter, here writes is in the simple present, so automatically to be that I want to introduce should be in the present tense. So I would say the letter is, and then the verb write in here is changed to the past participle, that is written. Okay, so the letter is written. The next step or the last step, and it is optional, that is you can write it between brackets, is when you mention the word in the by phrase. Like when I say the letter is written, okay, by John, which means you see the doer of the action is here in a prepositional phrase or a by phrase. So normally this is the general rule, that is the object becomes subject, we introduce to be in the same tense of the verb, okay, and then the main verb of the sentence is changed to the participle, okay, and then we introduce a by phrase. Okay, so let's before that, let's try to apply. I will give you just one sentence, and we'll try to do it all together. Okay. To do the passive, another point which is important, to do the passive, you need to master the tenses. So let's take just, let's take, okay, for example, I will open just a file in here. Can you see my screen? Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, yes, teacher. Yeah, we can see.
Okay, before starting the exercises, I'm giving you now an idea about the difference between active and passive. And also, and then I'm giving you the functions of the passive and why. Please deactivate your microphones. Deactivate your microphones. Okay, thank you. I said that I gave you an idea about the difference between active and passive. Then I gave you an idea about why do we use this passive in our speech. And then now, practically speaking, how in terms of form, practically speaking, we should apply the rule of the passive or the passive rule. As I said, so here, for example, I would, for example, I don't know, Mary. Okay, Mary writes, okay, writes a letter. Okay, so in here, if I take this sentence, I'm giving you just a simple sentence to which we can apply the rule. Okay, and of course, this sentence is very, very important, because it will show you just the rule. If you understand the rule, you can change any sentence into the passive. So here, here, as I said, okay, so here Mary writes a letter. Here we have a subject, as I said, because in grammar you should see things concretely. Okay, it's not sufficient to talk about the rule, but you have to say it. So as I said in here, so you see Mary in here is a subject. Then we have writes, which is a verb. Then we have a letter, which is a noun phrase, and it's an object. Okay, so normally if I want, this is an active sentence. If I want to change it in here to passive, the first thing that I would do is to change the position of this. That is, I should take in here a letter. Okay, should take it like this, and write it here. Okay, a letter. Okay, this is the first step, that the object becomes a subject. Second one, is that I try to introduce to be. To be is here very important, okay, as an auxiliary. Then I will conjugate to be in the same tense of the verb. What's the tense in here? The tense in here is the simple present. So automatically a letter I would use to be in the simple present, and I would have is. Okay? Because of course, this is in here should agree with the subject. Okay, I won't say are. But if I have letters in the plural, I would have are. I won't say letters is. Okay, so I used to be in the same tense of the verb, and then this verb in here, which is write, is conjugated or is changed to the participle. Okay, to the past participle. So write, wrote, written. Okay, so I would write in here written. Okay. So then the last step is to introduce a by phrase, which means by whom, by, and then I write Mary. Okay, so this is just a simple rule. That is to use to be in the same tense of the verb, which means if you want to convert any sentence from active to passive, you need to know, okay, the tenses. What are the tenses that we have? For example, here we have Mary writes a letter. So writes in here is in the simple present. Okay, so what are the different tenses? Okay, if your memory is still fresh, okay, and if you can memorize tenses before, or just remember, sorry, the tenses before. So what are the different tenses? So here I have the simple present. So remember, we have the present tense, we have the past tense, and we have the future tense. So and we have different aspects of the tense. That is, we have the simple, like when talking about the present tense, we have the present simple. We have the continuous, or the progressive. So when I say the progressive, it means that I write to be plus ing. Like in here, we have simple present. I write, you write, he writes, etc. Then I have the present continuous. I am writing, or Murray is writing. Okay. So here we have in the present tense, we have the simple tense. Okay, that is present simple. We have the present continuous or progressive, and we have, this is just to refresh your memories, and then we have the perfect, the perfect aspect. In here, in the perfect aspect, we may have the simple one, that is present perfect simple, and we have present perfect progressive. I give you examples. When I say in here, Murray writes, this is the simple present. If I want to convert this verb and use in here the present continuous, I would have Murray is writing. So this is the present continuous. The same thing, keeping the same tense, present tense. So in the perfect, what would I say? Murray, in the perfect, what would I say? Murray
Has written.
Murray has no. Murray
has written a letter.
Has written a letter. If I want the present perfect continuous or progressive, so we would say, okay, so
Has been writing.
Okay, so has been. Okay, in here we have is writing. Okay, this is the present progressive. Then we have has written. Okay, sorry, has written. Okay. Okay. Then we have has been written. Okay. Has been written.
Sure, I think has been writing.
Has been writing. Sorry, has been writing. ing. Good. Okay, so here I'm giving you since. Please change, deactivate your microphone. Since I'm saying that the main issue in passive is the tense of the verb, because to be is conjugated in the same tense of the verb. So automatically, if the verb is in the simple present, automatically to be would be in the simple present. If the verb is in the progressive, automatically to be should be in the progressive. If it is in the present perfect, it's the same case. So now, if the sentence in here, Mary writes a letter, let's say here, Mary is writing a letter. So how can you change it? So Mary is writing a letter. So a letter.
It's being written.
So
No?
letter, yes. So the letter is being written. Why? Because we change to write into the past participle, and we conjugate to be in the same tense. Like a letter is being written. So here we have a letter has, Mary has written a letter. Then I would say a letter has been, that is I conjugate to be, okay, in the perfect, has been written. Here, if I have Mary has been writing a letter, so what would be the change? Yes? When I say Mary writes, has been writing a letter, so I would say a letter has been written. I can't say a letter has been being written. Normally, this is the rule, but we don't say it. That is, we keep, that is for the present perfect simple or progressive, we have the same change. That is, we say has been written for both, whether it's progressive or simple. So this is concerning the present tense. If we have the past, for example, the same case. When I say Mary wrote a letter, Mary wrote a letter. So automatically I would change and say a letter was written. Why? Because I take to be and I conjugate it in the same tense of the verb. The tense here is the simple past. So to be should be in the simple past. So if I say wrote a letter, so a letter was written. If I say had written, for example, had written a letter, so had been written. If I say she was writing a letter, I would say a letter was being written. That's the same case. That is, whenever you see a particular tense, just conjugate to be within the same tense. So this is the general idea behind the passive. Okay? Okay, do you have any question concerning this before starting the exercise? And of course, for today, we'll try to do the exercise and try to explain. And next time, I'll give you more difficult sentences, and we'll try to do these sentences, okay, in order to understand, okay, how to convert these sentences from active to passive. Okay, so yes, can we start doing the exercise? Put the following into the passive voice. The agent should not be mentioned. Okay, you can mention the agent or the doer of the action as well as not. Okay, no problem. Okay, first sentence. You should open the wine about before you use it. Remember, in essence, in order to be converted into the passive, the sentence should contain an object. That is, we should have a verb plus an object. For example, if I say, I sleep in the garden. So, for example, in this sentence, you cannot convert it. This sentence cannot be converted to the passive. Why? Because there is no object. Here, to sleep is an intransitive verb. It doesn't take any objects. So you need a transitive verb that takes a direct object, okay, or indirect object that depends. Okay, so any sentence should contain a direct or indirect objects in order to be converted. If you have an intransitive verb, that is فعل لازم, that is, that does not take, okay, the object, you cannot convert it into the passive. Why? Because the first step to convert the passive is to take the objects and change the place and keep it at the first position, that is in the subject's position. Okay, so like when I say I sleep in the garden, I can't say I was slept in the garden. No. Why? Because there is no action on an object. Okay, so the verb here is intransitive. It doesn't take any object, so I cannot convert it. So that's why it's very important to locate the objects of the sentence. Sometimes you may have two sentences that are coordinated by coordinating conjunction or subordinating conjunction. So you need to observe the sentence. Okay, here you should open the wine about 3 hours before you use it. Okay, who can do this? What's the first step? Yes, please.
The آية المجيري.
Yes, yes, sir.
The object is the wine.
Yes, sir.
We should say the wine should be opened about 3 hours before you use it.
Okay, so the first half of the sentence in here, you should open the wine about 3 hours. So here, what is the object? Is the wine. Okay, so I would take the wine. Then, of course, we have here should open. So as I said, to apply the rule is that normally here should is a modal, then open is the infinitive, which means even to be, if I want to put it in here, okay, to change or to convert the sentence, to be should be in the same tense, which means instead of saying should open, I would say should be, and then opened, because opened is the past participle. So you see here, if you think about the rule in here, that like you move the verb and you put to be, you conjugate to be in the same tense of the verb, and this verb or the main verb in here in a sentence is converted or is changed, okay, in the past participle. Should open, should be, and then opened. So the wine should be opened, and we add the ed, which is reference to the past participle of open, because it is a regular verb. Okay, so the wine should be opened, okay, about 3 hours. But in here we have another sentence: before you use it. Here we have a subject, we have a verb, and we have it. So before you use it, so I would do the same change. Before it, and then here we have use is in the present, I would use is. So before it is used. So you see, that is here we have a verb in the simple present. So to be that is introduced should be also in the simple present. Then before it is, and then use is converted or is changed or takes the past participle. Is it clear? Yes, sir? Is it clear?
You are now unmuted.
Yeah, teacher.
Okay. Okay. Please, if you have any question, that is, you can interrupt me and we can discuss. Okay, no problem. Okay. Now the second sentence. Previous climbers had cut steps in the ice. Okay. So here, what is the subject? Previous climbers. What is the verb in here? Had cut. Okay, had cut. You see the past perfect simple. Then steps in the ice. So here, what shall we start with?
The steps.
Yes. We start with steps. So steps, then to be in the same tense, I would say had cut. So had been cut.
Yeah. Had been cutted.
Not cutted, but cut. Because cut is irregular verb, and we have cut. No change. So steps had been cat,
Will
will
be
be ours. Yeah. So
By
steps
previous
by
by
previous
previous
climbers between brackets. Okay. Do you understand?
previous
So if I have here had cleaned, so remember had cleaned,
teacher.
had been cleaned. Okay. Sorry. Had cat, had been cat. Okay. Should open, should be opened. So you see that to be is very important in these sentences. Okay, who can do the next sentence, which is number 3?
Yeah,
Yes, please.
Teacher.
my shoes had been cleaned and my suit was brought by somebody.
Yes. Okay. So you can omit by somebody. That is, you can say, my shoes had been cleaned. So you see, had cleaned, had been cleaned, and my suit and here, what did you say for the second one? And brushed my suit.
I said was brushed.
Why?
No, had been.
And had
I don't
been
think
brushed.
so.
Had been brushed.
Yes.
We have and.
Yes, good. So remember, when you have and, so this is why I opted for discussing the exercises. You will understand by practice, I'm sure. Here we have and. Whenever you have and you have two verbs that are coordinated by and, so you should treat them as if they had the same tense. For example, normally, what is it? Normally, somebody had cleaned my shoes and had brushed my suit. Why? Because and coordinates, okay, similar and equal tenses and equal sentences, which means even the tense should be the same in this. That is, when you say, this is, try to avoid this in writing. When you write a paragraph or write anything, don't say, for example, had cleaned my shoes and brushed. So here you see in here brushed is correct, but it's understood that we have had been. So when you coordinate tenses, try to coordinate similar tenses and keep the same tense. Here we're using the past perfect, then keep the same tense after and, even in your writing, so that to be that is to treat them equally, treat the two sentences equally. So here somebody had cleaned my shoes and brushed my suit. So I would say my shoes had been cleaned and had been brushed, and my suit had been brushed. Don't say was brushed, because if you say was brushed, you are treating the second verb as a past tense, as a simple past tense, while it's a past perfect verb. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Number four. So of course I will stop at number 7. Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah.
Before
we
doing sorry to interrupt you. So we'll stop at number 7, and of course you have to do the other sentences and send them to me via ENT, and I will do other exercises, okay, and send you a small file or I will keep this small file for next week, in which there are more difficult sentences that you should understand, okay? And we'll do these difficult sentences next time. Okay, yes, please go for it and introduce your name. Thank you.
My name is Kawthar Mohamedi.
Yes, Mohamedi.
We use this room only on special occasions. This room is used only on special occasions.
Yes, good. So you have started with this room, and please, when you start with the object, bear in mind that the subject should agree with the verb. That is, if the subject is singular, the verb should be singular. If the subject is plural, then you need to keep the verb in plural. Here we have this room, which is singular. Then we use, this is the simple present. Then this room is used only, okay, on special occasions. Okay, good. Next, please. Yes. The next sentence is number 5. Yes, can you hear me?
Can I answer, please?
Yes, Ayal Magiri. Yes. So please, I think that I have more than 40 students. That is, at least you can share with us. Okay. If
Yes.
you don't understand, that is, we can re-explain things. Okay. Yes, Ayal Magiri.
I can see your screen. It's okay now. The nails must not be hammered into the walls without permission.
So why are you saying the nails? You don't need to add anything, okay? For example,
Yes,
here,
just nails.
Nails, because you're talking
Okay.
in general.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
okay. So here, good. We have nails. Okay. We have. Sorry. So here we have nails. Nail, you must not hammer nails. So must not hammer. We have here molo plus hammer, which is a verb in the infinitive. Automatically be should be in the infinitive. So must not be, and then hammered, you add the ed to the verb. Nails must not be hammered into the walls without permission. Okay, so the same, that is, you just like you drop the verb, the main verb, and then you replace it by to be in the same tense, and then the main verb is in the past participle. So you can do that for all sentences except some that we shall see, that is some sentences which are more difficult, and I will give you, okay, all these sentences later on. And also in questions, we'll see the passive voice in questions. How do you make the passive in questions? We'll see that. Yes, sir. Next, number
Teacher?
6. Yes.
My answer.
Yes, you can. Your name?
My name is Yemna Arwi.
Yes.
And the answer is, in some districts, pigs are used to find truffles.
Yes, sir. Can you repeat? In some districts,
In
farmers
some
use
districts, pigs are
Yes.
used to find truffles.
Travel. Yes, good. Okay. So here we have in some districts, we have farmer use pigs. Pigs here is the object. So I would take it at first. Pigs. Then a farmer use here just the simple present. I would say is, pigs are, okay, because we should have the agreement between the subjects and the verb. So pigs are used to find truffles, okay, by farmers, if you like, or it's optional because the interest is in passive, the interest is in the action more than the doer or the agent, okay. Okay, so the last sentence is someone switched on a light and opened the door.
Teacher?
Yes, please.
Teacher?
نجمة حمام.
I would choose. Yes, Najma Hammam.
A light was switched on, a light, and the door was opened.
Yes, good. So here you see someone switched on the light and opened the door. So automatically we have a light as the object. We So you see, so try to do the first exercise in here up to 28. Okay. Okay, so try to do this exercise, finish it, and if you can do the others, but I, for the moment, do just this and send it to me. Then next time, once explaining more difficult sentences, so we will finish the exercise and you can send me the second half or the second part, okay? It's very important. Okay, yes, please. So this is it. So what is important in the passive voice is the tense, which means that if a student does not have an idea about the different tenses in English, he would be lost, which means that you need to know the different types of or the different tenses that we have in general. As I said, the present tense, the past tense, and the future. In the present, we have the simple, the continuous, okay? And we have the present perfect, simple, and continuous. Okay, then we have the past tense. The past tense, we have also the simple, okay, like when I say wrote, and the like I'm summarizing what you did in S1. So like the past tense, like it might be simple, like when I say write, wrote, in the case of irregular verb, or open, opened, in the case of regular verbs. Then we have the past progressive, like when I say to be in the past plus ing of the verb, like when I say I was writing, they were writing, we were writing, etc. So we have also in the past tense, we have the past perfect, okay, which is equivalent to the present perfect. So the past perfect in here may be either simple or progressive. That is, I can say I had slept. Okay, I had done my homework. I had worked there, okay, previously. So here we have the past perfect. Then in the past perfect, we may have the past perfect progressive. When I say I had been doing something, I had been sleeping. And here we use the past perfect when we want to describe an action that was done, that is in a certain duration, okay? And it was a long action in the past. I had been sleeping, okay? Then if I move to the future, oh, who is that? Okay, so okay, sorry. Ça va? Okay, so I said sorry for this interruption. I said that I was talking about the tenses, and I talked about the present tense with its types, and then the past tense with its types, and now the future tense. So the future tense, the same thing. We have also the simple future and the progressive. Like when I say I will do that, okay, simple future, near future, I'm going to do that. Okay, and then we have the progressive when I say I will be doing something. Okay, that is, here you talk about an action that will be in duration in the future. Okay, so I will be doing. So here we have the future tense. Okay, future tense, which is progressive. Then even for the future, we have the perfect. Okay, we have the perfect future, like a future perfect. When I say I will have done, okay, I will have done, she will have done the job by the end of the month. Here, I will have done, okay, here we have future perfect. And here, the future perfect expresses an action that is will be fulfilled or finished by a particular point of time in the future. The same case, we have future perfect progressive. I will have been. Okay, I will have been doing, or I will have been washing the car by the time you come. Okay, so in here, if the same idea of future perfect, in that an action would be ended, would be fulfilled by a particular point of time. So automatically, the difference between the future perfect simple and progressive is that one, the simple one, is not long, while when you want to express a future action that will be fulfilled or achieved at a particular point of time, and that would take a long time, or that would be in duration, so in here you use the future perfect progressive. So you may say, okay, the teacher in here is talking about tenses and we forgot about tenses and we forgot about S1. No, because tenses are very important in grammar too, not deeply, because you won't go deeply through tenses because you did that before. But you need the background that is of tenses. You need them in order to know how to convert the active sentences from active to passive. You need tenses. You need to know tenses, and you need to memorize the list of tenses, irregular verbs. You need the verbs or tenses also in reported speech, because if you don't know tenses, you cannot report speech or the different sentences. You cannot change a sentence from direct speech to indirect. So the tenses are very important in passive, in reported speech, in other courses. That's why I'm trying in general to give you just an idea or a general idea or just to refresh your memories concerning tenses, because we need them in passive and also in reported. Okay, so do you have any question? Yes, sir? Do you have any question, please?
No.
No. Yes, sir?
For now,
Is it clear?
thank you. Yeah.
Yes, teacher.
Yeah.
It's clear.
It was really clear.
Okay, Matawi, Fathuddin. I see the same students working, the onliners. Okay, I see just the same. Okay, what about the others, please?
Yes, teacher, it was clear.
It was clear. Okay, if you have no questions, so see you next week. The same time, the same dates, because I stick to my timetable, my schedule, so that if you have other courses online, okay, we won't have problems. Okay, we keep our time. Okay. And please do the exercise and send it to via ENT. That's very important. Okay. No exercises are accepted in Google Classroom or the what else? The Gmail. Okay. Don't send me your exercises in Gmail, because I don't take them into consideration. Okay. So if it is a case, so see you next week, inshallah. Okay, if it is all clear, I hope you'll keep safe. Okay, so bye bye. Or is it?